Have you ever paused for a moment, looked into the mirror late at night when everything is still, and a strange feeling creeps into your chest? A feeling that maybe you're not alone? That maybe something is looking back at you? We've all had those moments. We look at ourselves, tired eyes, silent rooms, and a mirror that doesn't just reflect your face, but reflects a mood, a presence, a mystery. But here's the question. Why did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warn us about this? Why is there a deep spiritual wisdom behind something as ordinary as looking into a mirror, especially at night? What's the hidden truth behind this act? And what does Islam really say? Stay with me till the very end, because what you're about to hear may forever change how you look at yourself and your surroundings after the sun goes down. Looking into a mirror during the day feels completely normal. You might do it to fix your appearance, check your clothes, or make sure your hijab or beard is tidy. But night is different. The night holds secrets. It's a time when the veil between the seen and the unseen begins to thin. It's a time when jinn, shayateen, and other unseen beings become more active. And it's not just superstition. This is a concept rooted deeply in Islamic teachings. First, let us begin with a powerful understanding from the life of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not just a spiritual leader. He was a teacher, a guide, and a source of divine wisdom, sent to illuminate every part of our lives. He gave us clear guidelines for how to live, how to eat, how to sleep, how to speak, and even how to look at ourselves. In one narration, scholars mention that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam discouraged looking into mirrors at night unnecessarily. Why? Because the night is not just dark in the physical sense. It holds spiritual darkness too. At night, the energy around us changes. Jinn, created from smokeless fire, roam more freely after sunset. In many authentic narrations, we're warned to bring our children inside at Maghrib time, to close windows and doors, and to say the name of Allah, because the shayateen spread after the sun goes down. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "When night falls, restrain your children, for the devils spread out at that time." Bukhari and Muslim. If the devils become more active at night, wouldn't it make sense to be cautious about the places they might be attracted to? Let's think about mirrors for a moment. A mirror reflects more than just our face. It reflects light. It reflects darkness. And in some cases, it reflects energy. In many cultures, mirrors have long been associated with the spiritual realm. They are seen as gateways, portals, or places where unseen entities can appear. While we don't base our beliefs on culture, we reflect on the wisdom in such long-standing fears, especially when Islamic teachings subtly align. Imagine this. You're looking into a mirror at night. The room is dim. There's silence. And suddenly, you feel uneasy. Was it just your imagination? Or did you just glance into a space that doesn't just show your reflection? Let me take you on a little journey. A man wakes up thirsty in the middle of the night. Everyone in the house is asleep. He walks quietly to the kitchen for a glass of water. As he passes by the hallway mirror, he feels like something flickered. He pauses, looks at the mirror, and sees his own face. But something feels off. His expression in the mirror doesn't match his real face. There's a delay, a twitch, a smile when he didn't smile. He blinks. It's gone. Just a trick of the eye? Or something deeper? In Islam, we are taught to always protect ourselves through remembrance of Allah. Every morning and evening we are advised to read Ayatul Kursi, the last 3 surahs, Surah Ikhlas, Surah Falaq, Surah Nas, to guard ourselves from unseen harms. Because the world is not just what we can see, it's what we can't see, that we are warned about, most. And a mirror, at night, especially when one is alone, can become a tool for shaitan to play tricks on your mind. Not because the mirror itself is cursed, but because your guard is down. You're tired. You're emotionally weaker. And shaitan whispers best when you are most alone. There's an old story shared among elders in parts of the Muslim world. A young girl, curious and playful, loved staring into the mirror at night. Her grandmother warned her, "Don't look too long, child. Not at night. That's not a time for vanity." One night, she did it again, alone, and she claimed she saw herself blink after she'd already turned away. She was so terrified, she ran from the room, screaming. Whether the story is real or not, it carries a message. Night is not a time to indulge in unnecessary self-reflection. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to be humble and avoid actions that can feed the ego, fear, or whispers of shaitan. Think about it. When you look in the mirror late at night, what do you feel? Confidence? Peace? Or something eerie? We don't need to be afraid. We need to be aware. We need to understand that Islam is full of wisdom, even in the things that seem small. Looking in the mirror during the day, it's fine. But at night, be cautious. Be covered. Be guarded. And always begin with the name of Allah. Say, Allahumma kama ahsanta khalqi, fa ahsin khuluqi. O Allah, just as you have made my external features beautiful, make my character beautiful as well. Tirmidhi. This beautiful dua not only brings barakah, it shields you from vanity and protects your heart. Let's speak clearly now. We know from the Quran that jinn see us, but we do not see them. Indeed, he, shaitan, sees you, he and his tribe, from where you do not see them. Surah Al-Araf, 7:27. So what happens if you're alone, vulnerable, in front of a reflective surface, at a time when jinn roam more freely? Is it possible that some jinn may observe us through mirrors? Some scholars say it's a potential doorway, not in a magical or cinematic way, but in a spiritual sense. The Prophet ﷺ never exaggerated. Every word he spoke was measured and full of purpose. So if he warned us about certain things at night, including staring into mirrors without reason, we must take it seriously. Dear brother, dear sister, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Awareness of a world that exists just outside of our senses. Have you noticed how sometimes, after looking into a mirror at night, you feel anxious? You feel something is watching you, or that your reflection felt unfamiliar. These feelings may not just be random. They may be your soul sensing a presence your eyes can't see. Don't ignore that. Because Allah has gifted every believer with fitra, a natural sense of what's right and wrong, what's pure and what's not. And if your heart feels uncomfortable, there's wisdom in listening to it. So what should we do? Do we throw away all the mirrors? Number. But we respect the spiritual realm, just as we respect physical danger. Here are some beautiful sunnahs to protect yourself. Always say Bismillah before looking into a mirror. Recite the mirror dua. Avoid staring at yourself without purpose, especially at night. Keep mirrors covered in the bedroom if they face the bed. Avoid sleeping with mirrors directly in front of you. Read your evening adhkar and Ayatul Kursi every night. Trust that the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ always contain hidden mercy, even if we don't see it immediately. Let's begin with a fascinating incident. There's a narration about a man who sought refuge with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He claimed to be disturbed every night after staring into his mirror. He would see things moving behind him. Sometimes he would feel as though something brushed his shoulders, yet no one was there. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised him to stop looking at himself late into the night, cover the mirror, and to recite the Quran in his home regularly. The man followed this advice, and within days, the feeling stopped. Now you might ask, is this a hadith? Not necessarily from the Sahih collections, but many such authentic scholars have shared similar real-life cases, especially ruqya practitioners who deal with jinn possession, waswasa, whispers, and sihr, black magic. And guess what? In almost every one of these cases, the presence of mirrors in bedrooms, stairwells, and bathrooms, at night, comes up again and again. Coincidence? Or signs we've ignored? In Islam, a mirror is not just an object of vanity. It's a place of reflection. Imam al-Ghazali, the great scholar and Sufi philosopher, wrote, "The heart is like a mirror. When you remember Allah, it becomes polished. When you forget Him, it gathers dust." And this is the point. The mirror shows you what's outside, but it also reminds you of what's inside. At night, when your energy is low and shaitan whispers the loudest, staring at yourself can make you overthink, self-criticize, or even feed your narcissism. And that's a subtle but dangerous form of spiritual corruption. It's no surprise, then, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to recite a dua whenever we see our reflection. Allahumma kama ahsanta khalqi, fa ahsin khuluqi. O Allah, just as you have made my outer appearance beautiful, make my inner character beautiful too. It's not about appearance. It's about character. And at night, when we're tired and alone, our character is most tested. Let's talk more openly about jinn. Jinn are real. The Quran has an entire surah, Surah al-Jinn, dedicated to them. They live among us, unseen, observing, whispering. They are not all evil. Some are Muslim, some are disbelievers. But the evil among them, the shayateen, seek to disturb the children of Adam. Shaitan is always looking for a way in. And mirrors? For some scholars and ruqya experts, they're seen as possible gateways to mental manipulation. No, not magical dimensions, but psychological access. When you gaze at yourself long enough in the silence of the night, Shaitan can begin to plant whispers. You're not good enough. You look strange. Something is behind you. What if your reflection doesn't move when you do? And suddenly, fear takes root. That's all Shaitan wants. A crack in your peace. Once he enters, the thoughts multiply. There was a woman in Egypt who struggled with constant nightmares and waking up to the sound of whispers. She had a large mirror in her bedroom, placed directly across from her bed. Every night, before sleeping, she'd stare at her reflection while brushing her hair. She didn't think anything of it. Until one night, she swore she saw a second shadow moving behind her in the mirror. Her husband saw nothing. She covered the mirror the next night and recited Ayatul Kursi. For the first time in weeks, she slept in peace. This story was shared by a well-known ruqya sheikh in Cairo. He said, "The mirror is not the problem. The openness of the soul at night is." Let's bring in a more modern angle. Psychologists have studied a phenomenon called the strange face illusion. It's when a person stares into a mirror in a dimly lit room for long periods. Their facial features start to warp or change in their perception. Some see their face melting. Others see unfamiliar faces. and some claim to see things behind them. Scientists say it's due to the brain misfiring under low light and silent focus. But we, as Muslims, know that shaitan can exploit these exact moments of weakness. It's not one or the other. It's both. A psychological phenomenon and a spiritual vulnerability. So how do we protect ourselves? Let's go back to the Sunnah, the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here are nighttime habits. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us that directly protect from shaitan. Recite Ayatul Kursi before sleeping. Blow over your palms after reciting Surah Ikhlas, Falak, and Nas. Then wipe your body. Cover mirrors in your sleeping area if possible. Avoid staring at yourself in mirrors at night. Do not sleep facing a mirror. Keep lights dim, not dark, in rooms you pass through. Always begin with Bismillah when entering bathrooms or before doing anything alone at night. Avoid sleeping angry, sad, or in fear. Shaitan feeds off emotional distress. These are not extreme steps. They are simple, full of wisdom, and deeply spiritually effective. Imagine this. You come home late from work. The house is quiet. Everyone is asleep. You catch your reflection in the mirror, and you pause. Now that you know this knowledge, do you simply gaze at your face? Or do you say Bismillah, lower your gaze, and walk past peacefully? These little decisions, they make the difference between being open or protected from the whispers of shaitan. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't just give us rituals, he gave us a shield, a way to live in peace in both the seen and unseen worlds. So when he discouraged unnecessary actions at night, like walking alone in dark places or staring into mirrors, it was not restriction, it was mercy. Even now, centuries later, modern science, psychology, and experience all confirm what our beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam already warned us about. Some may say, what's the harm in looking in the mirror at night? I do it all the time. And yes, not everyone experiences something negative. But not everything happens the same for everyone. And just because nothing happened doesn't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes effects are subtle. Anxiety, disturbed sleep, whispers, random fears, lack of barakah. They build slowly. This is why Islam teaches prevention before cure. Why take the risk when you've been given the solution? So let's ask again. Why did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid looking in the mirror at night? Because the night is spiritually sensitive. Jinn are active and can interact more at night. Mirrors can become spiritual vulnerabilities. Vanity, fear, and whispers can grow through late-night reflections. It's a time when you should protect your soul, not expose it. And in every word of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is guidance, there is protection, there is rahmah, mercy. Dear brother, dear sister, every day you're surrounded by things that pull you away from Allah. But at night, when the world is silent, that's when your soul is closest to Him. That's when you're most honest, most exposed, most real. So guard yourself, not just from people, but from shayateen. Not just from fear, but from whispers. And when you look into a mirror, look with awareness. Look with dua. And if it's night, perhaps it's better not to look at all. Because the unseen world is closer than we think. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has already warned us. Out of love, may Allah protect our homes, protect our hearts, and protect our nights. Ameen. If this video gave you something to think about, then don't keep this wisdom to yourself. Share it. Spread it. Be the reason someone learns something new from the Prophet ﷺ tonight. And remember, the mirror may reflect your face, but it's your actions that reflect your soul. Subscribe for more true Islamic knowledge, stories, and spiritual truths. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.